Good. Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the River Road Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'll let you get all settled in on this chilly morning as we wait for whatever's going to happen out there. I'm Reverend Karen Rasmussen, your Associate Minister for Pastoral Care. If you're wondering about my three-wheeled helper right here, I had my knee replaced and I'm still recovering, and it's slow but steady. I call the walker my Lamborghini because it turns the corners so well, and trust me, I'm very careful in the ice and the snow. If this is your first time here in person, we welcome you. We hope you will stop by the welcome table so we can greet you and help you to get connected. For those of you watching on live on YouTube, hello out there in YouTube land, and hello up there in the balcony to everybody. Please feel free to join the chat with our online host. If you're watching this at a later date and have questions, please visit our website to learn how you can connect with us. Next Sunday and the following Sunday, that's January 26th and February 2nd, our religious education program is offering brunches for the families. Meet in room 32 at 11:15 to meet other families and some of our volunteer teachers. Game night potluck is tonight, but it is canceled due to the weather. Just so you know, it's canceled for tonight, but it's going to be next week at the same time in the same place right here. Details for all of our programs and upcoming events can be found on our website at rruuc.org. And welcome, everybody. It's good to see you.
We began our time together by Lighting our chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith, with these words adapted from the Upanishads.
We light this chalice to help us move from untruth to truth, to help us move from ignorance to wisdom, to help us move from animosity to love, to help us move from bondage to freedom. We rededicate ourselves before this light to affirm and practice truth, wisdom, love, and freedom, today and in the days to come.
Good morning. I had to come down here to say a thing to you. We're going to sing a hymn. We're going to sing a song. And it was hard for me to put this song in the order of service. As a Black person living in America in 2025, born in 1962, this is a hard one to put in. And the first time I heard it sung in a UU church, I got to admit I had some feels. The tempo wasn't right. The feeling wasn't right. And somehow it was like, what are they doing singing our song? And I discovered that I wasn't alone. There were many other Black UUs who were having this feeling. So I want to share with you something that my colleague Aisha Ansano wrote. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a time when particular songs get sung. One of them is Lift Every Voice and Sing. It gets sung in school, in church, and at various MLK Day celebrations or over the course of Black History Month. It's a very, very powerful song, but it's often sung without context, and at times it's sung without a lot of intentionality. When you sing Lift Every Voice and Sing, do you pay close attention to the words? It's very easy on a Sunday morning to open the hymnal and sing along without necessarily processing what we're saying, what the words we're saying really mean. Sing a song full of faith that the dark past has taught us. Bitter the chastening rod felt in the days when hope unborn had died. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. This song deserves to be sung with attention. It is a song that starkly names the horrors and violence of racism in this country. And it is a song that should make us uncomfortable. Uncomfortable with the history that it calls upon, uncomfortable with the fact that the struggle for racial justice continues and has not come quite as far as it should have by now. How can anyone sing the words, treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, without a deep, deep discomfort? So when we sing this song, will you join me in singing it with intentionality? Will you join me in the deep discomfort that I will be feeling in singing those words? Discomfort with the pain and horror that those words refer back to, and discomfort with the fact that those words do not only refer to a distant history, but also to what is happening now. Will you commit to sitting with your own discomfort, and then will you tap into that discomfort and do something? Will you lift your voice and sing until earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty? Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able, and let's sing, Lift Every Voice and Sing. I invite the choir to come forward.
Today's prophetic voice is Amanda Gorman, Poet Laureate, in her children's anthem, Change Sings. Can I get it? Oh, yeah, thank you. I'd like to see it on the monitors too. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mystery, I sing with all the planets and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We are what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? And now children and their teachers are encouraged to go to class, or they may stay here if that was what you wanted to do today.
It is that time when we share the joys and sorrows that are on our hearts and on our minds. And this morning I'm going to do it a little bit differently, because I think in addition to all the things that are always on our hearts and minds, this week there are two in particular. One is the change that's going to happen in our federal government, the inauguration coming up. And I know that for many of us, it is a time of concern, a time of anxiety. For some, I would even say sorrow, anger, frustration. And at the same time, for some, it is a time of celebration. It will be a difficult day, and I invite you all to hold within you the spirit of this place, the spirit of this faith, the spirit of love and community, and know that we will get through it together. The second thing that is affecting so many of us right now are the fires in California. I have tried to keep up with as many of the notices and messages coming from our congregations in that area, and I can tell you right now that 2 have been particularly affected. Throop congregation has suffered some building damage. 2 staff members have lost their homes. Some members have lost their homes. And several, their homes are still standing, but they are inhabitable. At Neighborhood Congregation, which is also in Pasadena, many congregants have lost their homes, and their minister estimates that 50% of the congregation is displaced right now. Look around this room and imagine if all the people sitting on this side could not go home. So our offering this weekend will be dedicated to those 2 congregations. There are many other wonderful organizations and causes to which you can donate, including the UUA Disaster Relief Fund. And we'll talk more about that during the introduction to the offering. But for now, I want to share with you something that was written by John Gibb Millspaugh and Sarah Gibb Millspaugh back in 2015, actually longer ago than that. I think it was 2007, during the Santiago fires. It's called In These Days of Fire. And after this, I will invite us into a moment of silent meditation, reflection, and prayer, and we will sing There Is More Love Somewhere. In these days of fire, let us pause and breathe and be in touch with the sacred presence that permeates all, including this room now. Web of all, of life, death, and renewal, we open our hearts to those who suffer as a result of the wildfires. We have seen on our screens and TVs, in our newspapers, outside our windows, the pillars of smoke rising by day, the flames tall as buildings illuminating the sky at night. Landscapes once familiar have turned alien. The sun has turned red as blood, the earth and the plants turned black, the air filled with ash that drifts like snow. We have lost our homes and ecosystems, human and animal life, and our sense of stability. We have been reminded that all Earth's creatures must one day succumb to death's patient insistence. Spirit of life and love, in testing times like these, we stand in awe before the mystery. In these days of fire, some of us have fled our homes in great haste, and some of us as quickly have opened our homes to the stranger. We have seen death sweep the landscape, but we know life will renew itself, and that the forest will rise again, ecosystems will fill with life, and future homes will fill with love. We know life renews itself even now, as human good springs up in the face of disaster, and people reach out to one another within neighborhoods and across the continent, serving one another across every difference. Web of all, of life, death, and renewal, through all the seasons of our lives, may we find the courage to reach out in sympathy or need. May we feel within us the life force that stirs under the embers, waiting to be reborn. May the compassion and care we have found amidst the flames carry us now and remain with us as we move into those times and places where we might more easily close our hearts. We pray for strength And finally, we pray for gratitude for all that is not lost and all that we can rebuild. May we be the rebuilders. Shalom, salam, namaste, blessed be, and amen.
Each week, we collect our offering in support of our congregation and the community beyond. This morning, our offering is dedicated to our friends and our family and our sibling UUs affected by the fires in Southern California. You may give by cash or by check here in the sanctuary today, via text by sending a message, and that message number is 73256. Again, that's 73256, and type RRUUC and the amount that you would like to give, or by a donation through our website at rruuc.org. In lieu of, or in addition to, any donation you make in our offering today, you can also contribute to the Disaster Relief Fund by visiting uua.org and typing disaster relief in the upper right-hand corner of the page. Our offering will now be very gratefully received.
I'd like to read for you this morning an excerpt from Dr. King's sermon entitled Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, delivered on April 4th, 1967, at Riverside Church in New York City. I come to this magnificent house of worship today because my conscience leaves me no other choice. Over the past 2 years, as I have moved to break the betrayal of my own silences and to speak from the burnings of my own heart, many persons have questioned me about the wisdom of my path. Why are you speaking about war, Dr. King? Peace and civil rights don't mix, they say. Aren't you hurting the cause of your people, they ask. And when I hear them, though I often understand the source of their concern, I am nevertheless greatly saddened, for such questions mean that the inquirers have not really known me, my commitment, or my calling. Indeed, their questions suggest they do not know the world in which they live. I come to this platform tonight to make a passionate plea to my beloved nation. I must be true to my conviction that I share with all men the calling to be a son of the living God. Beyond the calling of race or nation or creed is this, is this vocation of sonship and brotherhood. And because I believe that the Father is deeply concerned, especially for his suffering and helpless and outcast children, I come tonight to speak for them. This, I believe, to be the privilege and the burden of all of us who deem ourselves bound by allegiances and loyalties which are broader and deeper than nationalism and which go beyond our nation's self-defined goals and positions. We are called to speak for the weak, for the voiceless, for victims of our nation, and for those it calls enemy. For no document from human hands can make these humans any less our brothers. On the one hand, we are called to play the Good Samaritan on life's roadside, but that will only be an initial act. One day, we must come to see that the whole Jericho Road must be transformed so that men and women will not be constantly beaten and robbed as they make their journey on life's highway. There is nothing except a tragic death wish to prevent us from reordering our priorities. There is nothing to keep us from molding a recalcitrant status quo with bruised hands until we have fashioned it into a brotherhood. These are revolutionary times. All over the globe, men are revolting against old systems of exploitation and oppression, and out of the wombs of a frail new justice system of justice and equality is being born. Our only hope today lies in our ability to recapture the revolutionary spirit and go out into a sometimes hostile world, declaring eternal hostility to poverty, racism, and militarism. With this powerful commitment, we shall boldly challenge the status quo and unjust mores, and thereby speed the day when every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. This call for a worldwide fellowship that lifts neighborly concern beyond one's tribe, race, class, and nation is in reality a call for an all-embracing and unconditional love for all men. This oft misunderstood and misinterpreted concept, so readily dismissed by the Nietzsches of the world as a weak and cowardly force, has now become an absolute necessity for the survival of man. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. Procrastination is still the thief of time. Life often leaves us standing bare, naked, and dejected with a lost opportunity. The tide in the affairs of men does not remain at flood, it ebbs. We may cry out desperately for time to pause in her passage, but time is deaf to every plea and rushes on. Over the bleached bones and jumbled residue of numerous civilizations are written the pathetic words, "Too late." There is an invisible book of life that faithfully records our vigilance or our neglect. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. We still have a choice today: nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. We must move past indecision to action. We must find new ways to speak for peace in Vietnam and justice throughout the developing world, a world that borders on our doors. If we do not act, we shall surely be dragged down the long, dark, and shameful corridors of time reserved for those who possess power without compassion, might without morality, and strength without sight. Now let us begin. Now let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. This is the calling of the sons of God, and our brothers wait eagerly for our response. Shall we say the odds are too great? Shall we tell them the struggle is too hard? Will our message be that the forces of American life militate against their arrival as full men, and we send our deepest regrets? Or will there be another message of longing, of hope, of solidarity with their yearnings, of commitment to their cause, whatever the cost? The choice is ours, and though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this crucial moment of human history.
He had a dream of a world free of hatred and anger. He had a dream of a love beyond race, creed, or color. He had a dream and he gave it to me. What will I do with it? Who will I be? I got to stand up, shout, and be heard. I got to let dream that one day we'd be here singing together. He had a dream and we're making it happen together. He had a dream for you and for me. What will we do with it? Who will we be? We're gonna stand up, shout and be heard. We're gonna let our heart get our words. We're gonna steady our feet and say, what would it be like if you were king for a day? If you were king for a day. If you were king for a day. If you were king for a day.
What would the world be like if you were king for a day?
I love our choir. What would you do if you were king for a day? Have you thought about it? I want to ask you a different question. What would Martin think today? Looking at us, looking at our nation, what would he think? Would he feel proud that he had a holiday where we sing songs, many of which we wouldn't otherwise sing on any other day of the year, where we pull out "We Shall Overcome"? Yeah, I have feels about that song too. Where we recite his speeches and we all talk about our dream. Where we have many, many breakfasts all over. There's always a Martin Luther King peace breakfast somewhere. And don't get me wrong, I am not knocking this day. It is the only day on which we honor a Black American, and it's important for all Americans. It's important. But still, I feel like we're always looking backwards, right? We talk about what we could do, but the reference is always to this time from so many years ago because King's life was drastically cut short by his assassination, thus depriving us of his wisdom and his leadership. It makes me wonder what things would have been like had he not been killed. I don't know. What would he think of us today? I don't know the answer to that either. I know that, or at least I'm pretty sure, that he would still be preaching nonviolence. He said many times in many speeches that though people criticize him and demean his theories of nonviolence and his reliance on love as being naive, unhelpful, weak in the face of all that was going on at the time, in the face of government action and everything else, I think that he would still espouse love as a fundamental value of his work and of his life. As do I. Love is, I believe, at the core of everything. Love is all there is. The question is how we show it, how we communicate it, and most importantly, how we live it. So I think he would still be preaching nonviolence. On some issues that we are dealing with right now, again, I can't know for sure, but I think when it comes to peace, he would be at the forefront of the folks speaking out against the violence and war in Ukraine. I think he would be speaking out in support of Palestinians. I think he would be urging us on toward peace and away from militarism. I think he would be as alarmed as I am at the thought that our incoming president thinks we should or even could annex Canada, Mexico, and buy Greenland. I think Dr. King would be appalled. I think he would be frightened. I think the threats that he faced against his person, his very being, would escalate, and still he would preach his message of love. I think on the issue of voter suppression, he would look at the ways our government is trying to disenfranchise those who simply want to cast their ballots and have their voices heard. I think he would be out there doing the work of voter suppression. I think he would be tickled with the work of Stacey Abrams. I think he would be so proud of you, the vote, and of all the things that we are doing. And he would tell us, don't get complacent. It's not done yet. One of the things that he told us in 1966 at the Ware Lecture at the Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly was, yeah, we passed the Civil Rights Act, but that's not where we stop. There's more work to be done. I think he would be telling us the same thing today. I believe that he would also be at the forefront of viewing the intersectionality of all of the issues we face, of crime, of poverty, of violence, of environmental issues. In that speech, Beyond Vietnam, King speaks very pointedly about the fact that civil rights and militarism, the war in Vietnam, are intertwined hopelessly. He noted the fact that the people who were being sent to fight were largely black men and poor white men, being sent across the planet to fight for a country that wouldn't fight for them in their own home. That's not right. And to an extent, we still do that, don't we? We still do it. In the name of freedom and democracy, we send our young people across the world to do all kinds of things, but they don't enjoy the same democracy and freedom and rights in their own country. King warned us about that years ago. He might be disappointed that we haven't made much progress. And then there's the issue of xenophobia, of fearing the other. What do you think King would view what we're doing today? How do you think he would see it? Despite the sexist language, King did believe in the brotherhood of man, that all people are created equal, that each of us, every single being, is one of God's children, without reference to where you were born, what your citizenship status is, the color of your skin, or where you happen to sit on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. I think he would be shocked by the levels of xenophobia that still exist. The one thing I'm not sure about is where King would stand on LGBTQ rights. There are those scholars who say that in reality, at his core, he really did believe in the inherent dignity of every child of God and would support those rights. Yet, there was still a part of him that saw homosexuality as a sin. And in later years, his daughter would recall his own words to oppose same-sex marriage. So I don't know where he would be on that issue. I like to think he would have come around. I think the different question, though, is if King were still here, would we listen? Would we still be listening to his message? The truth is, at the time King was assassinated, he was already declining in popularity, particularly among Black Americans. Cornel West writes in his book, The Radical King, there was intense FBI pressure, including attempts to make him commit suicide. The Black civil rights leadership was trashing him. The white establishment had rejected him. The young Black revolutionaries were dismissing him. Would we even still be listening today? Or would we have set him aside to move forward? At the time, there was a young man named Malcolm X preaching a different philosophy of civil rights work. There are many in UU circles who will say, oh, we can't get with Malcolm, we can't do violence. We are strongly in favor of the work of Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm not sure it's a binary choice, folks. I don't think it is. As time progressed, in many ways, Dr. King was becoming more like Malcolm X in his understanding that our problems were not just either or, black and white. He was beginning to see the interconnection in all these issues. But Malcolm was killed too. We lost them both. And what happened over the coming years is that we started to get tired. Black folks, marginalized folks, we started getting tired. And the way we did civil rights changed. And it started to make some folks uncomfortable. I want to share with you something written by William R. Jones. This is from Been in the Storm So Long, which is a UU publication. And he calls it, I Come Not to Praise King. And in it, he writes, to be truthful, we would have to admit that King has become, as it were, the Black Messiah, the singular and exclusive pattern not only for Blacks in America to imitate, but also for other liberation movements in the world. Black leaders are indexed as militant or violent, not on the basis of their actual thoughts and deeds, but by virtue of how far they strayed from King's footsteps. I have a nagging suspicion that white America desires to perpetuate a Black hero who fits its special needs of oppression and not those of Black liberation. White adoration of King secures him more as a guardian of white interest than as a black Moses to lead his people to freedom. Those are very strong words. And there is some truth in them, I think, because we are always looking backwards in a way. Because we have no future, we have no present with Dr. King to truly know. I know two truths. One is that we would not have gotten as far as we have were it not for Dr. King. I probably wouldn't be standing here, and that fact is not lost on me. The church where I did my ministerial internship is one where Dr. King preached. And there is a plaque at the pulpit to remind anyone who comes to that pulpit that he preached there in 1960. That's not lost on me. I know what I owe to his legacy and to him. I also know that our times have changed. In that Vietnam speech, he talked about technology as a reason for us becoming more connected to our world, as a reason for why we should feel more intimate in society. The example he gives, we have airplanes now. Can you imagine that the concept of jet airplanes at that time when he gave the speech was so amazing? He said, you can travel from New York to Japan now. Now look at our technology. With that little square device sitting over there, I can be in instant contact with anyone, anywhere on the planet. Technology has changed. And still, we couldn't have gotten as far as we are without that initial push. The second truth I know is that we can't look back. We can't stay still. The title of King's speech at the Ware Lecture in 1966 was "Don't Sleep Through the Revolution." And in it, he tells us UUs, us good and faithful UUs, that now is not the time to sleep through the revolution. He reminded us of Rip Van Winkle and how everybody knows that he slept for 20 years, but what people forget is that when he went to sleep, there was a sign that talked about King George. And when he woke up, people were talking about President George Washington. You can sleep through the revolution. My prayer for all of us is that we don't sleep. That we not be beholden to any one legacy, but that we stay awake, that we stay vigilant, that we not nap. This morning, we praise and honor Dr. King, and we hold him up to that high standard as an icon of justice. And we know that he is not the only one, and that his is not the only way. We know that these times require more of us, more action, more commitment, and more dedication. This is not a time for napping. This is not a time to sleep through the revolution. We don't want to be the ones who say, too late. Let us forever be motivated to move forward and do the work of justice. So, I want us to close by singing a hymn. And there is a portion of this service, of this sermon, where I had intended to talk about building the land of justice and all of that stuff, and leading us into this hymn. And as I was talking, I realized this hymn itself can be somewhat problematic. So I'm just going to stop and I'm going to name it. On this day in particular, It seems a little disingenuous for us to sing about how we'll build this land as though we are the first ones here. Hymn number 121 has always caused just a little tweak in the back of some folks' minds because Indigenous people were here long before the colonizers came. So we're going to sing this song, but we're going to sing it with a forward-looking view. A view toward the future that we can create with one another. Not because we're here to colonize and disrupt and take away anyone else's rights to be here, anyone else's ownership of the land, stewardship of the land, however you want to describe it, but because we know we can do more together. And trivia fact for those who were here December 29th, this is the last of the hymns from the list. Inside joke. If you weren't here that day, you don't get it. So please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able, and let's sing hymn 121, We'll Build a Land. Please be seated. Our Unitarian Universalist principles and values call us to live our values aloud, not alone, and encourages us to be open-minded, open-hearted, spiritual communities helping people lead lives of justice, love, learning, and hope. Here are some ways you can live your values in the coming weeks. Anybody know what this is? Yes, okay. To Be Well Fed, which was founded and staffed by our own River Road. Dave, where are you? Dave and Alicia. Thank you very much. Woo! To Be Well Fed partners with 3 public schools and 2 community centers in the Congress Heights neighborhood of Anacostia, Southeast DC. And weekly groceries are provided for more than 250 food insecure children and families. We will be doing a food drive for To Be Well Fed. There are grocery bags out here and a list of what is needed. Having done a ride with Alicia, I learned that one of the things that happens is that people give stuff they want to give. That's not what people want to get sometimes. So please use the list as a guide to help you if you are shopping. And of course, you can always contribute monetarily to this. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the good work. Give it up for them one more time. And I won't remember their names, so Alicia, you might have to tell me, but there are 3 badass church ladies, which is the way she describes them, who are the volunteers who help every week. So you want to shout out names? Because I don't remember who it is. Supernat. Liz Hanley and Judy Croft. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. There is another way you can live your values. One of the things that you noted on the Post-it notes about what you want, and something that I noticed when I got here, is that there's not a lot of congregational involvement in worship. I'm bringing back a worship associate program. So if you've ever had a desire to light the chalice, do a reading, maybe even give a sermon, it's up to you, let me know. We would like to have as many of your voices as part of worship as possible, because worship is the work of the people. So please let me know if you're interested in that. No pressure. It's not hard. I won't make you do anything that you're not comfortable with doing. Okay. So now it's time to end our period of worship together by extinguishing our chalice and reciting aloud these words by Elizabeth Sell Jones. Together we say, "We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again." My friends, this week, may you lift every voice and sing, and know why you're doing it, and do it mindfully and intentionally and prayerfully, because we have a lot in this world right now that needs our love and attention. Please go in peace and in love.